too hot for any actual gardening today. So, what I thought I'd do is take you on a little bit of a tour of the cottage garden as it looks now. It is blisteringly hot today, temperatures reaching in excess of 28 degrees at the very beginning of June. So, very, very warm indeed. And the garden is looking absolutely splendid. I promised I'd do many, many more of these as the season progressed. So, I thought today would be a perfect opportunity for it. So, a large milestone, just as we pass it, I'm going to turn the camera around for you so you can actually see it. Is the actual monolith stone is now in place and up and running. Obviously, the tank is not filled yet. There's still a patch repair to do on that, and the filter will need to go into its final resting place. But the monolith stone lifted into position by myself yesterday. 135 kilos that thing weighs, unbelievably heavy. But I'm really pleased with how that looks. The water slowly but surely clearing, ready for putting koi into this in the next few weeks. So I'm really pleased with that. So the wall is now done. The paving is just about to be laid. I've now completed the uh, the, the planting down out around the tree ferns, which looks absolutely splendid. But if you ignore these bits of untidy garden, we'll go and have a look at the bits that are actually finished. Very much looking forward to bringing you my full personal review in the next few days of Bring Me Sunshine. Really looking very, very good. I can't wait to bring you my review of this one. It's looking absolutely fantastic. Two towering pillars of Bring Me Sunshine just there either side of the little stable. The bed, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, this one containing all newly planted in the last 3-4 months, containing 11 or 12 very, very highly scented roses, all brought together for their very pale colours, like, for instance, the Macmillan Nurse Rose from Peter Beals in the foreground just there, the Country Parson, a newly planted one from David Austin, the pink one in flower there, Harlow Carr, very, very highly fragranced. Another one of those there. This is a stunning little rose for those of you that are growing on a balcony or terrace. A really hard-working, beautiful variety with those lovely little soft pink disc flowers. This particular rose will take a salt and high wind situation. So if you are close enough to the sea that you take a little bit of salt-laden wind, Harlow Carr and its sister rose, the Country Parson, this one here, are really good choices for that. Togmeister from Peter Beals, just sending up another flower there. There's lots going to go on in this border over the next few weeks. Ivor's Rose from Peter Beals is the cerise pink one there, just coming into flower, and several other really nice ones to come into flower. I will be filming later on this afternoon with Estacia Vi. This is a beautiful rose here in the pot. I'm going to be doing a deadheading tutorial for you later on this afternoon, but I say it's absolutely blisteringly hot at the moment. I think I might actually even just bear with me a second. Just need to wipe the lens for you there. It's getting a little bit hazy. Out in flower fresh today. Royal Jubilee. Looking really, really lovely. I love this rose. Olivia Rose Austin, looking absolutely stunning, but really struggling with these temperatures. You can see that the sun is really bleaching out her beautiful, vibrant pink colour, but she is looking absolutely splendid, absolutely dripping with flowers in the garden today. This border, one or two failures in this over the winter, including Desdemona, which was removed by myself and replaced by Jane Austen, and Wisley 2008. Another Harlow Carr. This one here in heavy bud is Teasing Georgia, now discontinued here in the UK, but a lovely yellow rose. And over the back, the standard there one is a Gentle Hermione, who's had some really large blooms on her over the last few weeks. The garden actually absolutely packed full of colour, and you can see already I don't water the lawn. The lawn is almost completely perished in the sun. Very, very hot. We're south facing here. You can see we're being absolutely baked by the afternoon sun today. And things like Imogen, who likes a little bit of shade, has started flowering. First flowers opening on her today. Princess Alexandra of Kent really struggling in this heat. Those huge blooms, sometimes reaching almost 5 inches across. Really nice to see a few blooms coming on the Lady of Shalott, planted here with purple leafed fennel, which I really love the combination of. But you can see just how hot it is here in the garden today, with things simply wilting in the heat. Absolutely sweltering. We've actually got an amber heat warning out already, and it's only June across the whole of Wiltshire today. Another old rose in bloom today. This one is Ferdinand Pritchard, those beautiful splattered petals there, looking almost as if it's been painted. Tessa de d'Urberville, still with a few flowers on her. Blush Noisette, an old, almost thornless rambler, really starting to find its stride now. Those beautiful little button pink flowers. This is going to be dripping with blooms. You can see absolutely smothered in bud. Lots and lots to come, and lots reaching right up off the top of the very top of the rose arbor there. It's going to look absolutely splendid. A little splattering of Crown Princess Margarita over the back there. Princess Anne from David Austin Roses, that beautiful magenta pink as the blooms fade. You must get out and deadhead those because it's very important that you do. The crocus rose opened its first flowers at the beginning of this week, but once again suffering in this extraordinary heat that we're getting. A very little, well, a very much unknown rose by David Austin Roses. The Lady Gardener here, opening in a beautiful, rich apricot colour, but in these temperatures, she's going to bleach out to a very, very heavy cream as she fades. Over the back there, the Queen of Sweden, just sending out her first few flowers. I'm going to pan round because this border is looking particularly good, especially one to note over in the back there, towering nice and high, almost 5 feet tall, is LD Braithwaite from David Austin Roses. Those huge, huge cassis dark red blooms, absolutely perfect for cutting. I do warn you, if you grow this rose, it does produce amazingly long stems, almost 2 feet long for you to cut, but the flowers themselves are hinged very, very delicately. You need to handle it carefully, otherwise the bloom snaps off. So we're expecting a bit of a thunderstorm here on the south coast of England today and tomorrow, and I might actually be tempted to cut all of those flowers off because they will be simply ruined if we have a little bit of wind and rain. This border is so full up, looking absolutely stunning. Really, really pleased with this. I'm actually going to go around a different way for you today. That peony coral charm is still looking beautiful. The last of its blooms now just coming through. You can see with this particular peony, it opens this stunning peach coral with loads and loads of beautiful yellow stamens in the center. This one has been pollinated. You can see those seed heads already swelling. But just as it fades, it bleaches out to this beautiful yellow cream color before the petals fall. Absolutely enchanting peony. Well worth growing. Now bear with me a second while we go down these steps, and hopefully I won't fall over, because I'd like to show you down the little bottom of the donut path. There's one or two things looking really lovely down here at the moment, including Jubilee Celebration from David Austin Roses, now discontinued in the UK. Her huge salmon pink blooms with that coral tinge to it. Very, very highly fragrant. Some of the largest blooms in the David Austin collections. Absolute stunner if you can get hold of this one. The Queen of Sweden, I'll pan up so you can see her there. Really, really looking rather lovely. All very, very chock-a-block down here at the moment. And there's that Princess Anne doing her thing. Little Harlow Carr from David Austin Roses, and Graham Thomas there. And now a discontinued climber from David Austin, absolutely dripping in flowers this year. He's had a really good season. He's a bit stressed. You can see some black spot on him there, but looking really, really rather lovely. And that is that huge LD Braithwaite. I'm actually going to go up into the border. Bear with me a second while I do so you can actually get a little bit of scale on it, because I'll flip the camera so you can actually see it. This is me. I'm 5'7", so you can see the LD Braithwaite is absolutely enormous. I'll flip the camera around again so you can see the length of the stems on these. The bloom here, all the way down, that's nearly a 2-foot stem. Absolutely perfect for cutting and bringing into the house, should you want to. But do handle it very, very carefully. I say the blooms will actually snap off right underneath the bud just there if you are unlucky enough to handle them too roughly. But it is a stunning rose. That colour is absolutely enchanting. But yeah, it won't stand up to the weather particularly well. Crown Princess Margarita. I am a huge fan of this rose. Absolutely dripping in flowers. Really, really beautiful. It's coming up to about 5.5 to 6 feet high now. Round on the other side, I've made sure that on this little set of steps that rise up from the garden tap, I've created two well, actually, there's three very highly scented roses here. Sceptred Isle from David Austin Roses on the right hand side, paired with Emily Bronte down here in deep shade, doing really quite well. I'd say on the other side, that stunning Crown Princess Margarita. I've tried to put fragrant roses all around this path, and again, Bosca Bell just here from David Austin, looking really, really lovely. A small rose, normally only reaching around 3 feet, but because it's on a little bit of rising ground, you can see a little retaining wall here of about 2 feet. It brings it right up to head height, which means as you pass it on the path, you get to have a good sniff, which is a really, really lovely thing. So yes, that is Bosca Bell out in flower. Behind her, towering tall, a standard, Princess Alexandra of Kent. Beneath, Vanessa Bell has had an amazing season. Never had blooms on this volume on Vanessa Bell. Another lovely spray coming up through there, but that one is having a really good time of it, as is. And I've just posted this to my Instagram. Benjamin Britten, look at him. One of the roses that absolutely adores the heat. This particular rose with its white bleached outer petals loves this sunshine, and all it does is actually make, even if the rose actually scorches in the heat, it just actually makes it look even prettier. Very, very highly fragrant. I say I've just posted this one over to my Instagram with my new fragrance rating out of 10. If you can find Benjamin Britten anywhere, I know it's discontinued now. This is a 9-star rating from myself. There doesn't come much more fragrant than this. Benjamin Britten is absolutely stunning. My tower, absolute tower of Claire Austin there now, nearly 10 feet tall, absolutely dripping with blooms. She's looking fabulous. This whole area I'm really, really pleased with now. And you get lost in flower in this particular part of the garden. Malvern Hills cladding the fence. In the foreground there, the white one, which you can't really tell apart. This one here that I'm zooming in on, this one is Kew Gardens, but you can see absolutely dripping with flowers. It's only a 2-year-old plant, this one. It's doing really, really well. Sceptred Isle, again, here, I've got several of them. It's such a good rose. The bright yellow one in the foreground here is Molyneux from David Austin Roses. And don't forget, all of these reviews for all of these roses are either available in my story highlights over on my Instagram channel, same username there, _Gardener Ben, or here on YouTube. You can find the media everywhere. This one is Dame Judy Dench with her huge flowers, measuring almost 5 to 5.5 inches across. Absolutely enormous. Very, very relaxed form on her. Really very pretty, especially as it ages. Over the back there, I cut all of my Silas Mana, although it's still got a couple of sprays on it. I couldn't help myself but to cut them because they were so highly fragrant. So I've actually taken them in and put them in the house. And over the back, starting its show, which it now won't stop flowering all the way through to the end of the year, is Ghislaine de Filigrande, an old rambler there. You can see in this heat should be an awful lot more apricot and pink, but it's very, very white this season so far. But thousands of buds to come on her. The Lady Salisbury has had a really wonderful start to the season. Lots and lots of flower on her. Grace in the foreground, which is the apricot one with the nodding heads, flanked behind by Munstead Wood, which has incidentally just been acquired, the home of Gertrude Jekyll, famous female garden designer and female pioneer, just acquired by the National Trust, who are planning to completely renovate and bring her old garden back to life. So that one is Munstead Wood. The sprawling shrub with lots and lots of buds on it there is Litchfield Angel. Poor old wildflower meadow has gone from looking absolutely resplendent to unfortunately collapsing in this heat. absolutely dire need of water, but unfortunately, it's not going to get any. Not going to get any from me anyway. Next year, I think I'm going to irrigate this entire area. It's the only part of the garden that isn't under irrigation system, and I think I'm probably going to lay out a irrigation weep hose so I can actually just give this a little bit of help and hopefully avoid this collapse. As you can see in the heat, it bakes up so hot in this particular part of the garden that, yes, well, yeah, it's unfortunately succumbed to the heat. The country parson from David Austin Roses grown in a pot here, looking really lovely, and a fabulous view there of the Wedgwood rose, that huge tower. I'm gonna have to go over there because it is absolutely beautiful. North Lodge basking in the sunshine. And this little border, say, always contains my favourites: Princess Anne, Crown Princess Margarita, Tranquility, the best, I believe, white rose David Austin have bred so far. Opened her first flowers a couple of days ago, but looking really good, going to be smothered in blooms. Again, if you're looking for a rose to cut, really lovely long stems on this, up to 2 feet long, carrying sprays of flowers in between 5, 6, 7s, and 8s. Huge flowers, really, really very, very pretty white rose. And here we are with the, oh, this rose is giving me everything this year. This is the Wedgwood rose on its handmade obelisk, but look at it, it's absolutely stunning. Has had the most wonderful season. It is huge, it is dripping with flowers. I deadheaded this earlier on today, but look, I'll stand with it behind me just so you can get a sense of scale for it. It's just absolutely adorable. Look, absolutely stunning, beautiful. The Queen of Sweden, just over there, and in a little piece of the shade. I'm just going to take a moment because I see we've actually got some questions rolling, which I'd like to try and answer for you, but it is so bright. I'm going to have to go down the little steps here, back into the shade so I can actually read my screen because I feel like I'm working blind a little bit. There we go. Right, let's give you a half decent view while we catch up with these. Ray, Rochelle, you can't wait to see this year's top five. Well, there is going to be a shift around at the top five. I can assure you there is going to be a new entry into that. I already know in my heart of hearts, having kept at least one of these roses for over a year now, that there is going to be a shuffle around at the top of the top five. So do look out for that. Benjamin Britten is the scent on Benjamin Britten stronger than Munstead Wood? Well, in answer to your question, David, they're very, very different. And as I'm so close to both, let's go and have a look at both of them now. Right, this is Benjamin Britten. This is a 9 fragrance rating, as is Munstead Wood. They're both well up there, but the fragrances are very, very different. Okay, so Benjamin Britten is warm and spicy, with tones of orange and cloves. It's absolutely, it's just absolutely lovely. And we'll go over to Munstead Wood and we'll have a look at that one again. And I'll just quickly. Here we go. Here's Munstead Wood, absolute stunner. Munstead Wood has got much more fruit to it. So you're thinking about a fragrance that's black currants and apples and summer pudding. All of those really, really hot, warm, sweet fragrances. To be honest with you, they're very, very much of a muchness on intensity. Both, as I say, receiving incredibly high ratings from myself, 8s and 9s. You're never going to get a 10 from me. Let's make this quite clear. I have been asked whether anything is going to get a 10, and nothing is going to get a 10 from me. There is always room for improvement, but to be honest with you, it's a toss-up. If you could find either Benjamin Britten or Munstead Wood, I would buy both of them if you could, because they are both absolutely fabulous. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like my rose garden. Lovely. Right, so we'll continue on our little tour. Let's go along what we call the long border, which is this one that runs all the way down the eastern aspect of the garden. Looking, I can keep saying it, but it's looking fabulous for the time of the year. The garden's actually been photographed today by a company who I work alongside of. Eco Sustainable Solutions have come and done a media capture today, which has been wonderful to actually look at the garden. In suffering a little bit in the heat, this one is Anne Boleyn from David Austin, but really struggling in the heat. And the yellow one poking out there is Charlotte, enjoying the sunshine as she likes it warm and dry. Roald Dahl is looking fabulous as always. He's going to be dripping with flowers all the way through the season now. The Alwick Rose sending out her first flowers today, flanked behind by Buttercup. And on the other side, opening its first flowers alongside Graham Thomas, the absolutely stunning Poet's Wife. Now, we've talked about high fragrance ratings over the last 5-10 minutes. This is another 8 or 9 fragrance rating rose from myself. A really beautiful, large, informal shrub from David Austin, which sprawls about this border. Now, it's looking a bit bare in here because last year it got absolutely choked up with bindweed. So this year I've been very disciplined about this border, keeping it open and so I can actually get in there and get the bindweed out of it. But the Poet's Wife from David Austin, one of the most fragrant in the collection at the moment, a very, very powerful primary yellow. Really, really lovely. The blooms on this one are a little on the small side right now, and normally they're much larger than that, normally around the size of my fist. So they are quite small this year so far, but I'm assuming she, with her first flower, she will find her stride soon enough. So yeah, there we go. That's the garden. Looking really, really lovely. That view back across underneath the willow tree to our little stable, and you can see, actually, let's go around and have a look at it. We've got the time. Hopefully you'll stay with me and we'll continue our little walk. We'll go all the way around the back, through the vegetable and cutting garden. The raspberries have set fruit. Lots and lots of raspberries to come on. I'm pumping water onto those at the moment, trying to actually get some decent size in the fruit. Lots and lots of red currants to come. You can see here, got a standard red currant. Gooseberries are looking good. The birds have already had the strawberries, I give up with those. The greenhouse, got a few chili peppers and a few aubergines going this year. A couple of pumpkins left still to go out. Tomatoes shaping themselves up really good. However, this is a garden pest problem. If you look in here, the mole has come up in one of my raised tomato pots, and every time I put water in there, it disappears into the abyss. Yeah, the mole is a little bit of a problem in this area because the parts are all here mulched off with woodland mulch from Eco Sustainable Solutions, which is this chipped wood which we're walking on, and the mole absolutely loves it over here, so he's always rummaging about. I got my first sweet pea flower today, stem length looking really, really good. About 18 inches on those. Incidentally, if you do have sweet peas and you're experiencing, I just saw one, I need to focus and actually see where I saw it. If you're experiencing a little bit of bud drop, that is normally quite natural at this time of year. Where has it gone? I can't find it. And it basically means that the sweet pea head literally falls off, and it's normally due to being cold in the evenings. So you'll often find you're left with a plain stalk. There we go, there it is. I knew I'd find it somewhere. So there we go, you're just left with a stalk. It looks like something's eaten it. But normally what's happened is during the cold evenings, as it's still very early, the flower simply drops off. So yeah, if you're starting to have a few of those, don't panic. They will improve as the season goes on. Obviously very, very early for sweet peas. They are only just starting. Big patch of sunflowers, so a pollinator feeding station just here on the end. The dahlias are making good ground. 1 or 2 new ones have gone into the ground. So a few self-set foxgloves about. I like to leave these wherever they come up, and if there's too many in one place, I simply move them about and pop them, like this one here, over on the edge of a path or somewhat. My Dahlia Imperialis unbelievably made it through the winter, which is just planted down here. Absolutely stunning, and it is already making ground. It's a little bit behind last year. When I planted it out for the first time last year, it was already about 5.5 feet tall. By this time, we went on holiday this time last year, so it's a little bit behind, maybe a couple of feet, but I'm not worried about it. It's doing very well. I'm very pleased it is through the winter, as I am with all of the other dahlias. And look, this is why we made our trip all the way over here. Please excuse the bin. I say these parts of the garden still under development as we finish the work on the patio. But Gertrude Jekyll looking absolutely splendid there on the side of the stable. So there we go. There is the North Lodge Cottage Garden in all of its glory. I hope you have enjoyed your walk around my little slice of garden heaven. Any questions that you'd like to ask, please do let me know. I will just take some time and see whether we've got any other things to answer. Okay, so we've got another question here about does Silas Marner beat Benjamin Britten or Munstead Wood for scent. No, it doesn't quite there, but Silas Marner has all the other qualities that you would expect from a newly bred David Austin. Very, very good disease resistance and incredibly high and fast repeat on the bloom to the point where often the repeat is coming up before you've actually deadheaded it, which I know sounds a silly. It almost is a problem because you want to take the blooms off ever so slightly beforehand. I do have so many roses, yes. And I do know every single one of them by name. So yes, so welcome along, and I'm glad you've enjoyed that. Vegetable gardens is tons of work. Yeah, I'm not growing very many vegetables this year, mostly cut flowers around there, but I'm glad that you've enjoyed your tour. Right, catch me again. I'm going to head over to Instagram now. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will see you all again very soon.